up, everybody, and welcome back to the Survivor Now podcast. And it's officially the off season. We just finished season 47 of US Survivor. This is our first off season stream, so we are happy to be here. We want to keep creating content for all of you guys to feed that Survivor hunger you have until we come right back here in February for Survivor Australia, whichever season it is. I know the teaser just dropped for that, which looks amazing. And then obviously Survivor 48 will be back February 26th of 2025. But today we have a fun little topic to discuss for you guys. We just witnessed Rachel Lamont win season 47 of Survivor. She is the 19th different woman to win this game. There has been 20 seasons with a female winner, but obviously a certain queen has won twice. So there's 19 different women who have held the Survivor crown. And today we are holding the very difficult task of trying to rank these female winners. I will say right off the get-go, we respect all these people games, or at least I do. I think Josh and Ollie do as well. If you make it to the end, there's an argument to be had about why you deserve to win. It's incredibly difficult to make it to the end in the first place. So wherever we rank people today, it is all it's all with love. We're here to start a discussion. We definitely are not here to just slam someone's game or talk bad about like them as a Survivor player. So just let you know right off the bat, if your favorite ends up in the bottom tier, we're not saying they're god awful, never should have played Survivor, anything like that. There might be some men like that, but no, not the women.
You ain't lying.
But now that the introduction is way out of the way and I got all that stuff said and done, my name is Randy. I cannot do this alone, so I brought two of the incredible Survivor Now analysts that I have who know probably a lot more than myself and have way, way better memory than myself. So they're going to be correcting me throughout this entire podcast. We have Ollie from Got Something For You and Josh from the After Show. Gentlemen, how are we doing on this Monday afternoon?
I'm good. Just got a lot of the Christmas stuff out of the way so I could just focus on doing this for however long this takes. But I'm really excited. I love Survivor off-season content because then you get to discuss how the recent season or the recent winner stacks up in the grand course of Survivor. Because I've loved this show for a long time. I've watched it for a long time, and while discussing the current season is fun, I love discussing the whole arc of the show's run. So stuff like this gets me super excited.
You were made for this off-season coverage.
I was.
I know you were excited when you came on the team. You're like, when do we get to the grand discussion stuff?
Oh man, I love it.
Ollie, how about you, man?
Yeah, I've been good. I've been obviously with Christmas. I did a lot of wrapping today. Still haven't done all of it, and I'm probably not going to. That's what my partner's for. But no, I'm very excited. As you know, Randy as well. Love Survivor. Bit of a super nerd when it comes to it. Same with Josh, me and Josh are the ones that probably know the most out of everyone.
I'll just be here to try to rank people, and Ollie and Josh will be like, absolutely not. Okay, where are we ranking this person?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, it is the holiday season. I will say, you guys were smart in doing yours a little bit earlier. I think I'm probably going shopping right after this podcast airs. We'll see if I actually get out. When you wait to do something in the latter half of the afternoon, how often do you actually go do it? So we'll see. If you are watching this video, you are probably either a Patreon member where you can check out this entire podcast and see where we rank all of these amazing female winners, or you're on YouTube right now checking out the sneak preview. We're going to let you watch a little bit of this, but just letting you know, if you want to check out the full podcast, you got to go subscribe to our Patreon. The good news is this one is available because it's the holiday season, Christmas time. This is available to either tier. So you can be a Legend tier member or you can be a Faithful member. Faithful tier starts at $3 a month. And the other thing is the Legend tier has a 1 week free trial. So if you're like, they're asking me to pay, go do the free trial. Just go check it out, see the content we have, and see if it's something you want to invest in. We definitely understand, like, with all these like paid subscriptions and everything, we get it. So we want to give you a little peek first before you decide to invest in anything. All right. The last like kind of little outlier thing I have to tell everyone, there are some incredible Survivor Australia women who have won this game, Survivor South Africa. There's a lot of versions of Survivor. Today we are focusing on the U.S. version of the show. So don't get mad and say, where is Haley? Yeah, she's not going to be on this today. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the tier maker here, the tier list, so we can go ahead and begin ranking these women. Sorry, it's down a little bit. We have 19 to get through today. So it's just a generic tier list. We have the S tier, which is your best of the best, your legends. We have the A tier, which is basically like they are a great winner. They're not a legendary winner, but they're great. B is like they're pretty good. C, they're all right. D, they did not play the best game, or someone sitting next to them probably should have won over them. And then that bottom tier is just who we're discussing. So you can tell while we discuss where to place them exactly who we're talking about. So, gentlemen, let's get going. We're going in chronological order. So I'm going to go ahead and pull our first lady up here. Tina Wesson, way back in Survivor Australia, Season 2, became the first woman to win the game at the age of 39. Let's see how many times I can say stats today, because I did not. I should have wrote down like age, where they're from. No, I did not. But I know she was 39 because I was doing some research earlier about her. Look, I love Survivor Australia. It's the season that got me, and I'm talking about Survivor the Australian Outback. It's the season that kind of got me hooked on Survivor. We'll talk about South Pacific a little bit later with a certain winner, but that was my first introduction to Survivor, and I fell in love during Survivor South Pacific. Went back to watch the older seasons, but I couldn't find Borneo at the time, so the first old season that I watched was Survivor Australia, and I kid you not, I watched that season back to back 3 times. Wow. I thought it was so great. So it still holds the record for the season I've watched the most, because I've never watched a season more than twice. I know a lot of people are like, well, I've seen each season like 8 times. I want to get to that point. I want that to be me. I'm slowly doing it. There's still like 3 seasons I haven't seen, which is a crime. But yeah, so Survivor Australia holds a tender place to my heart. I guess I should have asked you guys earlier, how did you prepare for this? Because I've got my own little rankings here that I'm going to try to like translate to this.
I didn't have a super formal system. I kind of just thought through yesterday, just each winner and like some bullet points that I have about their games. But a lot of their stuff is like pretty fresh up here. Like I think I mean, maybe some of the seasons that I haven't watched in a really long time, I probably could have gone back and watched some highlights, but I am a lot of it's pretty fresh for me.
Pretty confident in your ability.
Yeah. Because these are all winners, you know. It's not like we're discussing like, you know, the like pre-merge boots or anything like that, where, you know, I can't really remember a whole lot of bullet points about their games. But these are all winners, and I feel like I've spent a good amount of time thinking about and discussing each one of them over the years.
Ollie, what about you, man?
Yeah, I did a little bit today, just like refreshing my mind. There's things on YouTube, obviously, that you can quickly watch just to refresh your mind on things. Went over stats. I haven't tiered them. I haven't ranked them. But knowing their games, I kind of, I think I have an idea of where I would place them, and then the discussion goes from there. But yeah, I kind of obviously like remember most stuff, like most stats can kind of go in my head. But then I kind of had to like just rewatch little like overall things for a couple of seasons. Australian Outback being one of them, actually, just to refresh my mind a little bit and remembering some of the little nuances.
I mean, Australian Outback happened like what? Like way back in
2001.
Yeah, 2001. That's crazy. So yeah, I would have been. I don't want to make anyone feel old, but I would have been 3 years old, depending on where you were at. in 2001. Gentlemen, what do we think about Tina's game here? Like, because personally, this hurts me. Like, I said all that about like this got me into the show, so you're probably thinking, wow, he probably has Tina ranked pretty high then. I don't know, because she sat next to Colby. I think there is an argument about who played the better game. She was definitely a social player. I think there's just a lot more stronger, like, women or, female winners on this list. I had Tina, out of 19 winners, I had her ranked 17th.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't gone and ranked them all like top to bottom.
No, that's fine.
I mean, and the hard thing about the older seasons is that like the way they portray strategy is just so different. Not only how it is now, but even like, season, like 16 through 20, like, Parvati, Natalie White, Sandra, like even between season 2 and that era is like so different. Like so much of it was all about the personalities and the adventure and the survival. Like I remember I watched Outback most recently, shortly before Winners at War, so almost 5 years
Really?
ago,
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. When they announced Winners at War, I was really ambitious. I was like, I'm going to rewatch all of them, which I didn't, but I did watch Outback. And like there was the one episode where they like the camp flooded, and then she got lost, and then Tina and Keith needed to go and fetch
all the
the
way
rice from which was fascinating, like compelling stuff. I was shocked that like how hooked I was, because I'm like, man, this is so real. But the strategy of that episode was like non-existent. Like they're like that happened, and they're like, okay, I guess we're going to tribal council now. I think that was the episode that Amber got voted out. But it was like really they didn't show it anywhere near what they do now. That being said, I mean, there was one path. They had one example in Richard Hatch the season before, and Tina, as a more like, presenting as a lot more like nice and nurturing and motherly, like very different from Richard Hatch. But she took that path and like made it hers for the win. Solidly in the majority the whole time. Had good allies.
Would you say she was like an underdog during her season? She wasn't the strongest. She wasn't the strongest castaway.
No, but like, if someone who were more of like a challenge beast kind of thing, like had won season 1, then maybe that would be different. But
yeah,
I don't know. I think Colby was definitely the fan favorite in that era. Like the Captain America, like wins all the challenges. He was like the OG of that archetype. But I think they were a really interesting final 2. I love that it came down to like a 4-3 vote between the two of them, and to see like what the jury like put forth as like, this is what a winner of Survivor looks like, that when the show was still really early on and had a lot of just a lot more like formation to come. I think that like Tina's win was like pretty crucial in that, like the more social and relational elements like could have a say. But that being said, I mean, she and Colby were a pretty tight duo from fairly early on. So it's not like, I don't know. So
Colby chose. Oh, I'm so sorry. I was just going to add, Colby chose to take her.
Yeah,
he did.
He did. Which kind of is an asset to a social game. I mean, the things I kind of remember about Tina's game. So I'll kind of first off say, when I look at the tier list and I kind of go back on Tina's game, I would strongly put her in the C category, possibly B. Because I think she did play a very selfless game. Like, I think we remember like episode 1 or 2, she was willing to do like something that we didn't see happen in Survivor 47 until like the end portion of the game, which is search Kel's bag. Like, she was willing to do that to get some social like knowledge going on there that she could then report back to other people. I think she was able to kind of know the dynamics of her tribe really well, and knowing that I believe it was Colby and Keith were kind of the people that she knew she had to kind of stick with. And knowing the social dynamics of that, because I think that was actually beneficial on her keeping her allies and getting someone like Mitchell out. And I think her end game, this is something that I don't think a lot of people think back to the kind of newest, like the older season, of Survivor. But I think Tina had a really good grasp on jury management. Ooh. Because I think when you look at the people that were going out in those final few rounds, people like Amber, people like Elizabeth, she was kind of almost jury managing them, whether she knew that or not, but she was making sure she still had those good connections with them as they were leaving. And I think that's what benefited her at the end. And also, lest we forget, she never received a vote.
Yeah.
She never received a vote. So I don't think it was
the only reason she didn't play the perfect. No, I'm so sorry again. The only reason she didn't play a perfect game is because, she won 4-3, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I think with it, she was able to make those good relationships, but I think it's kind of the almost strategic side of things. There wasn't a collective thing that she could put her thumb on all the times and be like, this was my move, possibly the Mitchell vote off. But then after that, it was kind of this we are the strong alliance. We are the ones that are sticking together, loyalty, get me through the end. And then it was kind of her social jury management that kind of helped her there. So that's why I kind of put her in the C category.
I think that high end of C, low end of B is a good spot for her as well. I think over the years, I remember, 15 years ago, a lot of the discourse around Tina was she was this master manipulator who played off of Colby's good old boy senses and got him to take her to the final two, which I never fully ascribed to, because she was also 100% taking Colby to the final two as well. Had she won, they but I think that it worked out well for her that Colby was the one who took her, because I think at least one of them in their the jury members in their voting confessional was wow, the really impressive thing you did was getting Colby to bring you, when he probably could have beaten Keith. So I think that looked better for her, even though again she was going to take him too. But the thing that the one thing though that I do think was really intentional and well done on her part was pulling in Colby with the Mitchell boot, Ollie referred to, because the episode before, Jerry at Tribal Council, she's oh yeah, my besties are Mitchell and Colby and Amber, we're really good. And then they voted out Mad Dog, but that left Tina on the outs. And then so Tina and Keith pulled in Colby, forced the tie, and won the tiebreaker over Mitchell because of the past votes. And then from there, she was they had a solid 5, which won the majority at the merge. And then within the 5, she had a 3 and was willing to shed some layers, which worked out really well for her. I think, again, she was doing a lot of that in tandem with Colby. So it's not she was some master, but she was part of a really powerful duo that did exactly what needed to be done to win season 2.
So I think we're coming to a point of placing her in C. Is that what we're doing?
I am good with C.
Yeah.
We could always adjust it too if we need to. And so it's kind of like that blind ranking system. You give someone 1 through 5 and you're let's just put them right at 3 to start off. We could always move Tina low B if we needed to. We can kind of gauge it as we go along here. Next up, we've got, if we move to Survivor Marquesas, Vecepia. Vecepia won, sitting next to, I always say this girl's name wrong. Is it Nelia? Nelia? Is it Nelia or Nelia? Nelia. Okay, so
Aaliyah,
sat next,
the singer, who, but with an N. Nelia.
She sat next to Nelia, and she became the first African American winner of Survivor. Also, she was the first person to win by 5 or more votes, if I remember correctly. Vecepia, though. Oh, Josh, correct me.
She won 4-3.
4-3. Oh, she did? Who?
It was.
It was Jenna.
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 Yeah.
See, I told you.
I knew it was a female.
I just mixed them up. So she won 4-3. Vecepia is a winner. Ollie and I were actually talking about this before you joined on, like before the stream, Josh. Doesn't get talked about a lot. Very underrated winner. I think it comes with the season. Like I feel like as a whole, a lot of people don't talk about Marquesas. In a sense, I was low on Vecepia until I watched like the video where it was like reminding me how that season went. And then I kind of gained a whole new respect for her. I have Vecepia in the B tier. I have her as the 7th best winner out of 19 females. So I have her up there. I definitely, there's some people who was like, she should be in the top like 5 category. I don't agree with that, but I do think her game is extremely underrated. I feel like she had a difficult path navigating her way through the game. I mean, very on her and Sean felt like they were on the outs due to their race and had trouble kind of fitting in. And she was able to, every time there was a curveball thrown, every time she was swapped and didn't have the numbers moving forward, she had that ability to survive. And she just had a way that she spoke with people about this is what we should do. She kind of had that quality to her to where, I mean, even Boston Rob was like, I don't really want to work with her, but like I will in a sense. And I got that from the edit. So that Ollie and Josh might have to go more in detail with that. Like I said, I had to remind myself, but I just feel like Vecepia is someone who, you know, she definitely deserved to win in the sense of she was, you could argue the definition of a survivor because she was playing from the bottom at times and had to navigate her way to the top, control the votes, get to the end. And then ultimately she won that final immunity challenge, got to choose who she sat next. Am I wrong again? I thought she did.
Nalia won the final challenge, but like,
all right, I'm going to stop talking.
But
I will say about while we're on the topic of the final immunity challenge, she was the only person ever to successfully navigate a deal like at the final immunity challenge. A few people have attempted to, but didn't do it. But she was one. I mean, she knew Kathy was the person to beat. Kathy slips and falls on the challenge, and then she pretty much immediately goes to Nalia and says, "Nalia, okay, if I step down, will you take me to the final 2?" Nalia says yes, she does, and then that's that. Which a lot of people are like, "Oh, Kathy was robbed," but you know, that's the name of the game. There's 16 people who play, only one can win, and you know, you just vote people out till it's all done. So,
no, I was just going to say to Randy, I think you were referring to Final Four. Continue, Josh.
She did. So she did win at Final Four. Man, I just think when I think of Vecepia as a winner, I just think of her endgame run, right? How she, I think there's also stuff to be talked about like early in the merge with like the fall of the row 2-4 and how she was like the role she had to play at that. But I do think that once they picked everyone off and they're at the final 5 and it's like Vecepia and Sean on one side, Pascal and Nalia on the other, with Kathy in the middle. There's like, it's pretty contentious, like pretty, back and forth, could go either way. Kathy knows she's in the middle. But Vecepia is like well protected because they're definitely going to go for Sean over her. He's like more of a challenge threat, also like way more outspoken. But this was also in the era. So, so she survives that. But like, this was in the era where the final 4 challenge was like, pretty much, So in seasons 1 and 3, and then the final 4 challenge was like a fallen comrades challenge, where it was like trivia on the people who had been voted out. And then in Australia, that was the final 3 challenge. But so she knew about that. She had been like in her journal, like taking notes, like paying attention to all those people. And there's a scene like leading up to tribal council where the other 3 are trying to like compare notes about like, oh wait, what was like, where's this person from, or like what's their spouse's name or something like that. And she was just like, I know. I'm not going to tell them, but I know. And so she won that clutch challenge. And then there's this very like, way back before quote unquote, like live tribals were a thing. Like it was a pretty, both Final 5 and Final 4 is like pretty open strategizing for like all of them because of all the shifting dynamics and everything. And so, she strikes a deal with Kathy there to like, okay, I'll vote with you, force a tie against Nalia, and then Pascal gets rocked out. But so she like, strikes a deal with Kathy. gets through that round with someone on her side, and then immediately goes and flips on Kathy the very next round to go to the end with Nalia because there's no way she was going to beat Kathy in the final two. So, I mean, she did what she had to do. It was purposeful, like intentional, really crafty and cunning, like reading the room, knowing her exact path to get there. I'm really high on Vecepia as a winner. I think her edit was really understated, but I'm really, really high on her as a winner. Ollie, you can go ahead.
No, I was going to say, like Vecepia is an underrated winner in my opinion. I have always thought this. I think it only started getting traction because the Winners at War, and part of me judged people being like, you're only judging this because she didn't get a call for Winners at War. Like, stop it. But I think Vecepia is one of those people that she was so good at subtle moves that had a really big impact. Like she was kind of, in my view, she did have one of the biggest parts to play in the final 9 vote, which was arguably the biggest move of the season, because that was the flip that happened. That got that majority of 4 out of the game 1 by 1. And I think she kind of did have the biggest part to play, even though the edit tries to make it look like kind of Sean. Like Vecepia, like there is stuff that if Vecepia didn't do it, that move wasn't going to happen. And it is those subtle moves, like even back in like the pre-merge, she was able to kind of understand the tribe dynamics, that there was obviously like Hunter and Gina one side, you had Rob and Sarah the other side, and she knew that her and Sean were kind of in the middle spot, and she could, like, they were in the swing position, and she was able to have both on side and then decide where she wanted to go, which in the end was obviously Rob's side. Similar again to Final Four, like I remember there was a confessional that she put, she was like, oh, I know I'm making it to the end now. Like, I know I'm winning. Like, it was this quiet confidence with her.
Yes.
And I think that's what, because she's so calm, cool, and collected, I think that's what people didn't really resonate with, because you had the likes of that season of the bigger personalities like Kathy, like Rob, like John Carroll. I would say I'm happy to put her in the B. I would argue that she could be in the A category. Just because I do think she played a really strong game, but I will wait. But I would put her in A.
I was leaning B, so I'm interested to hear what Josh says.
I was leaning, low end of A, high end of B. I'm leaning towards A, honestly, but
hey, you outrule me.
But
if
again,
you go
we want
A,
to see how the rest of it shakes out. I think I would personally put her on the low end of A, because I think that it was just a really flexible and adaptable game, and like everything was like not going her way in the pre-merge. Like she went before like everyone. She was the first person to win after going into the merge. Like down in numbers, like a lot of like Richard and Tina were like tied in numbers. Ethan was up in numbers. She was the first person to win down in numbers, but still made it work. And like, yes, she did benefit a lot from like Kathy and Sean, but like I think there was credit is spread between like all of them. I think all 5 of them for the flip. But she did what she had to do, and she was always going to be like kind of that. Really roll with the punches, kind of like do what I need to do to get to the end person. And the edit wasn't there, but I think you can still see that her game was like very deliberate and effective.
Plus, she was only ever targeted at Final 7. She only ever received 2 votes, and at that point, it was she knew at that point, I know I'm not getting targeted, because she's built the relationships with Kathy and all that lot, like Pascal and Noella, to know that they shouldn't do this move yet. It's not beneficial to them, because especially they were targeting the person that was the strong immunity person. She knew the dynamics. So,
So we are going to place her in A for now. Might end up being low tier A. We got to see how this list comes together, but that's where we've ranked the first 2 female winners of Survivor. I will go ahead and say, if you are watching on YouTube, we appreciate you being here. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. this is where we're going to switch it off. We're going to go Patreon only now. So if you want to check out the rest of this video to see where everyone else ranks, head on over to our Patreon. The link is in the description below. You can join either tier or get that free trial for Legend tier members and check out the rest of the stream.